The bathroom light hums softly above the mirror, a small circle of warm air in the quiet evening. A folded towel hangs by the sink, still carrying a faint soap smell from the morning wash. On the edge of the counter, a stack of unpaid bills rests beside a cup that has gone lukewarm, the surface no longer steaming but still holding a little heat. The numbers printed on the paper look ordinary, almost polite, even as they wait. Sometimes doubts move like this. Not loud, not dramatic. Just a small tightening in the chest while the faucet runs and the water slips over your hands, clear and steady, as if nothing inside you is unsettled. In the other room, a basket of clothes waits to be folded. Sleeves spill over the rim, soft cotton touching your wrist when you pass by. The house is not silent, but it is close enough to hear your own breathing between the sounds. You stand there for a moment longer, holding the cup, feeling its warmth against your palm, as if it is enough to anchor you here. After work, the mirror holds your reflection without comment, the overhead light steady above your shoulders. A thin line of steam still lingers near the glass from the shower earlier, softening the edges of your face in a way that feels almost merciful. On the sink, the envelope with the transfer notice lies open now, the amount circled in blue ink, as if that small circle could contain the weight of it. The cup beside it has cooled further, but you lift it anyway and feel the last trace of warmth against your lips. The faucet runs for a moment longer than it needs to. Water threads through your fingers, clear and indifferent, and the sound fills the small tiled room with a steady hush. The floor is cool under your feet. You notice the quiet rhythm of it, the way the stream keeps going even when you are not looking directly at it. Sometimes doubt is like that. It does not shout. It simply sits on the counter next to the bills, waiting while you wash your hands, waiting while you dry them carefully on the towel, waiting while you look at your own eyes in the mirror and try to measure something that cannot really be measured. In the hallway, the laundry basket has been moved closer to the bedroom. Shirts and small socks are tangled together, a sleeve caught on the handle. You carry it to the bed and sit down, the mattress dipping slightly under your weight. The fabric is soft and familiar. You begin to fold one piece at a time, smoothing each crease with the flat of your palm. The house feels lived in. A chair slightly out of place. A faint mark on the wall near the light switch. The envelope with the bill is still on the bathroom counter, not hidden, not solved, just there. You fold another shirt, then another. The motion is simple, almost automatic. The warmth from the cup lingers faintly in your hands, as if it has traveled with you from the sink to this small circle of light in the bedroom. You glance at the mirror again when you pass the doorway, catching a glimpse of yourself in between movements, neither especially strong nor especially fragile, just here. The numbers on the paper do not change. The water in the pipes has long since settled into silence. The steam on the mirror has disappeared, leaving a clear reflection that feels a little sharper now. You do not look away from it. Not immediately. Instead, you return to the bed and pick up a small pair of socks, turning them right side out before matching them together. The cotton brushes your fingertips. The room is warm enough, and the light above you hums in a way that is almost comforting. There is no dramatic shift. No sudden clarity. Only the steady act of putting one thing in order while another remains uncertain. You reach for the next piece of clothing, fold it carefully along the seams, and press it flat with both hands before placing it gently on the growing stack. You fold one item. Later, the bathroom light is still on, casting a pale reflection across the hallway tiles. The mirror no longer holds steam, only a clear surface that gives your face back to you without softness. On the counter, the bill has shifted slightly where your elbow brushed it earlier, the corner lifting as if it wants to remind you of its presence. The cup beside it is empty now, its warmth gone, but you pick it up again and hold it for a second before setting it down. There is something steady about the sink. The chrome of the tap. The faint water marks that never quite disappear. You turn the handle, and a thin stream runs again, not because it needs to, but because the sound fills the room with a small kind of company. The envelope lies open. The circled amount is still there. It does not argue. It does not accuse. It simply exists on the cool ceramic surface, waiting for its time to be handled. In the bedroom, the laundry basket is lighter now. Neatly folded shirts are stacked in a small tower near the pillow. The air feels different here, less sharp than under the bathroom light, more contained. You sit at the edge of the bed and let your shoulders drop a little, listening to the quiet inside the walls. Sometimes doubt slips in through ordinary gaps. Between one bill and the next. Between one folded sleeve and the next. It does not always arrive with a clear reason. It can settle in the space between the mirror and your own eyes, asking quiet questions you do not feel ready to answer. You think about the transfer you will make tomorrow. The numbers moving from one account to another. The way it always feels like something is being taken from a place already stretched thin. And yet, the house stands. The lights turn on. The water runs when you ask it to. You walk back to the bathroom and switch off the tap. The silence that follows is thin but noticeable. In the mirror, your reflection looks more tired than earlier, but not defeated. Just carrying the day. The towel is still damp at one corner. You press it lightly to your hands, as if drying them again, even though they are already dry. The fabric feels soft against your skin. Familiar. Back in the bedroom, there are only a few pieces of clothing left in the basket. A pair of jeans. A worn t-shirt. A small cloth that smells faintly of soap and sun from when it was hung to dry. You fold them slowly, lining up the edges, smoothing the seams with your palm as if each crease matters. The bill remains where it is. It will not vanish overnight. The doubt may not either. But the stack of folded clothes grows taller, steadier. A small proof that something can be put in place, even when other things feel uncertain. You sit down again and take the last item from the basket, lifting it carefully, feeling the weight of the day still resting somewhere behind your eyes. The house is quiet enough to hear your own breath in the room. You fold one item. The evening slows in a way that feels almost unnoticed. The bathroom light remains on, but softer now against the quiet walls, and the mirror reflects less of the room, more of the dim space behind you. The envelope with the bill is still on the counter, its edges curling slightly in the dry air, while the empty cup rests beside it like something that has already finished its task. You stand there without touching either of them. The faucet handle is cool under your fingers. When you turn it, the water runs again, a thin clear thread breaking the stillness, then gathering into a steady stream. The sound is not loud. It simply fills the small tiled room with a patient rhythm. In the bedroom, the stack of folded clothes has grown into a neat line across the foot of the bed. Shirts lie flat, sleeves tucked in carefully. A pair of trousers sits on top, smoothed along the seams. The basket, once heavy, now feels almost weightless when you lift it to check for anything left behind. You carry the last few pieces to the bed and sit down slowly. The mattress dips and holds you there. The house around you seems to settle, as if it too has finished something for the day. There are moments when the doubt feels closer, less about the numbers on the paper and more about something inside that cannot be circled in blue ink. A quiet wondering. A small question about whether what you are doing is enough. It moves through you without raising its voice. You glance again toward the bathroom. The bill is still visible from the doorway, its pale rectangle catching the light. It does not chase you. It does not demand. It simply waits for tomorrow. You pick up another shirt, though the basket is nearly empty, and fold it again along the same lines, just to feel the movement in your hands. The fabric brushes your skin, familiar and steady. Your breathing slows without effort. The water continues to run for a few seconds longer than it needs to. The stream breaks into droplets against the porcelain basin, a soft echo in the small space. When you turn it off, the silence that follows feels fuller, not empty. You sit with that silence for a moment. The mirror reflects your back now as you move past it, no longer studying your face. The cup on the counter remains where it is, no warmth left, but still part of the scene. In the bedroom, the final piece of clothing rests in your hands. It is lighter than the others, thin cotton that bends easily between your fingers. The room is warm enough that you do not rush. There is no sudden clarity here. No grand reassurance. Only the steady presence of small tasks completed, of light still on in the bathroom, of water that runs when turned and stops when asked. You align the edges carefully, smoothing the fabric once more, as if each small action carries its own quiet weight. The folded stack stands straight at the foot of the bed. You lower your hands gently and fold one item. The night deepens without announcing itself. The bathroom light still glows above the mirror, but the rest of the house has softened into a quieter shade, as if the walls themselves are lowering their voices. The bill on the counter lies untouched, its surface catching the dim reflection of the bulb, while the empty cup stands beside it, ringed faintly at the bottom. You pass by slowly, not avoiding it, not reaching for it either. There is a calm that arrives when most tasks are done. Not joy. Not relief. Just the absence of movement. You turn the faucet briefly, letting the water run over your fingers once more, feeling its steady coolness before shutting it off again. In the bedroom, the folded clothes form a small landscape at the edge of the bed. Cotton and denim stacked in patient layers. The basket has been set aside against the wall, no longer in the center of the room. You sit down and let your hands rest on your knees. The air is warm enough to feel settled. From the bathroom, a faint echo lingers in the pipes, then fades. Sometimes the doubt feels smaller at night. Not because it disappears, but because everything else has grown quiet enough that it does not need to compete. The question about the bills. The question about whether you are keeping up. They float through the room without pressing against you. You glance toward the mirror again when you stand. In the softer light, your reflection looks less sharp, less defined. Just a figure in a room that has been lived in all day. The envelope is still there. Tomorrow will come with its own motions. Back in the bedroom, you reach for the stack of clothes and lift the top shirt, checking the fold without thinking. The fabric brushes your palm. The motion is slow, unhurried, almost absent-minded. There is no audience here. No one counting how many items you have folded or how quickly the transfer will be made. The house does not measure you. It simply holds the light steady above your head. You carry one folded shirt to the closet and place it carefully on the shelf. The hanger beside it swings slightly when you brush it, then comes to rest. The sound is small. Enough to mark the moment. Returning to the bed, you pause near the doorway of the bathroom. The bill remains on the counter, pale against the ceramic. The mirror reflects the empty hallway behind you, the dim light stretching into the darkened rooms. You do not pick up the envelope. Not yet. Instead, you reach for another piece of clothing from the stack, aligning its edges again, pressing the fold gently as if reassuring yourself through the movement. The room feels steady. The light hums softly overhead. There is something ordinary about this hour. About the way the day settles into place without demanding resolution. You stand in that ordinariness for a breath, feeling the quiet gather around you like a thin blanket. Then you lower your hands to the fabric once more, smoothing it with your palm before placing it down with the others, and fold one item. The house feels smaller now, in a gentle way. The bathroom light still casts its steady circle over the mirror and sink, but the rest of the rooms have settled into shadow, their shapes softened by distance. The envelope with the bill has not moved. Its corner lifts slightly in the faint air from the vent, then falls back into place. The empty cup beside it catches a sliver of light, a quiet reminder of warmth that was there earlier. You step into the bathroom again and rest your hands on the edge of the sink. The porcelain is cool beneath your palms. For a moment, you look at your reflection without trying to read it. There are days when the doubt feels tied to numbers. The total due. The balance remaining. The steady rhythm of transfers that seem to take more than they give. And there are days when it feels less concrete, like a small whisper asking whether you are keeping pace with something invisible. The faucet turns easily. Water flows in a smooth line, breaking the silence in the tiled room. The sound is almost soothing, a thin layer of movement that asks nothing from you. You let it run for a few seconds, watching it slip through your fingers, then close the tap gently. In the bedroom, only a few folded pieces remain on the bed. The stack is no longer scattered, it stands in a neat column, edges aligned, colors muted under the dim light. The laundry basket leans against the wall, empty now, its shape relaxed. You pick up a shirt and hold it for a moment before placing it back down. The fabric feels soft against your skin. Familiar. The room carries a faint warmth from the day, lingering in the curtains and the mattress. The doubt does not leave, but it shifts. It becomes less like a weight pressing down and more like a quiet companion standing nearby. Not always welcome, but not entirely foreign either. You walk back toward the bathroom doorway. The envelope remains on the counter, waiting for tomorrow's decision. You imagine the transfer being made, the numbers adjusting, the account settling into a new shape. The world outside continues in its own steady rhythm. Inside, there is only this small space. The mirror. The sink. The folded clothes. The faint hum of the light. You return to the bed and sit down once more. The mattress dips and steadies. The stack of clothes is almost complete, each piece folded with care, not because anyone is watching, but because the motion itself feels grounding. There is no dramatic turning point. No sudden certainty. Just the quiet repetition of simple tasks, done at the end of a long day. You reach for the last piece resting on the bed, align its edges carefully, and smooth it flat with both hands. The fabric yields easily under your touch. The room holds its breath for a moment, suspended between today and tomorrow. You place the folded piece gently on top of the stack, adjusting it so it sits evenly with the rest. Your shoulders lower slightly as you look at the small, orderly pile at the foot of the bed. You fold one item. The house is almost completely quiet now. Only the bathroom light remains on, a soft circle against the dark hallway, reflecting faintly in the mirror above the sink. The envelope with the bill still rests on the counter, its presence no louder than before, just a pale shape in the dimness. The empty cup stands beside it, catching a small edge of light. You move more slowly at this hour. The floor feels cooler beneath your feet. The air has changed, carrying the stillness that comes when most of the world nearby has gone to sleep. In the bedroom, the stack of folded clothes waits at the foot of the bed, edges aligned, colors muted under the softened light. The laundry basket is empty, turned slightly on its side as if it too has finished for the day. You sit down beside the stack and let your hands rest loosely in your lap. There is something about late night that makes everything feel closer. The doubts about the bills. The small questions about whether you are enough in the roles you carry. They do not disappear, but they seem to lose their sharpness in the dark. You glance once more toward the bathroom. The envelope has not moved. Tomorrow will come, and with it the transfer, the numbers shifting from one place to another. Tonight, it simply exists in the quiet. You walk back to the sink and turn on the faucet gently. The water runs in a thin stream, its sound clearer now against the silence. You hold your hands beneath it, feeling the steady flow, then turn it off, listening as the last drops fall and the pipes settle again. The mirror reflects you in softer lines. Not perfect. Not broken. Just a person standing in a small pool of light at the end of a long day. Back in the bedroom, you pick up the final folded piece from the stack, checking the edges without thinking. The fabric is smooth beneath your fingertips. The house feels contained, as if everything has drawn inward for the night. Sometimes gratitude does not arrive as a bright feeling. It can be quieter than that. It can be the simple awareness that the water runs when you turn the tap, that the light responds to your hand on the switch, that there is a bed waiting and clean clothes folded at its edge. The doubt about yourself may still hover somewhere in the background. It does not need to be argued with. It does not need to be solved before sleep. You place the folded piece back down carefully, aligning it with the others. The room seems to breathe with you, slow and even. The envelope in the bathroom remains where it is, patient in the dim glow. There is nothing left to organize tonight. No final conclusion to reach. Only the steady presence of small things done with care. You lift the last item once more, smoothing it gently, feeling the softness beneath your hands as the house settles fully into night. Then, in the quiet that follows, you fold one item. The bathroom light is still on, though the rest of the house has gone dark. The envelope remains on the counter, its edges quiet in the dim glow, and the empty cup stands beside it as if keeping watch. You turn off the faucet one last time, even though it is already silent, and stand there for a moment with your hands resting lightly on the sink. The mirror reflects a figure at the end of the day, shoulders lowered, breath steady. In the bedroom, the stack of folded clothes waits at the foot of the bed, edges aligned without effort. The basket leans against the wall. The room feels contained, like a held breath that does not need to be released all at once. There is no need to resolve anything tonight. The numbers will still be there in the morning. The questions, too. You walk back to the bed and lift the final piece of clothing, smoothing it once more with both hands before placing it down gently with the rest. The house settles deeper into silence. And in that quiet, without asking anything more of yourself, you fold one item.